Hi guys, thanks so much for joining me. Polina here, talking to you about this particular phenomenon in the sky. Sorry I took a bit of a break and I didn't do the full moon video for the month, the full moon in Cancer. I didn't do it this time, first time in 9 years. Okay, so let's have a look at this particular time as we're heading into the new moon in Aquarius on the 29th of January. Now it is the 26th. And also let's talk about the coming month as well. I will be doing a separate video for the next month, so everything will be covered. So the main thing is that this is not a very nice moon for some people because they don't feel like they have brought it last few years. This is a big moon for counting chickens for some people, and it's been a big month realizing where you are, where we're from, you know, where everything is going, how people are going to move about in the next year to come, and also like how things have finished for some people as we've come to the end of Dragon and what things may no longer be. So that means to me that we are now going into this new moon with a sense of success or not. So not every single person is very happy about what they have done. Not everybody is very welcoming, and also definitely not every person in the world is feeling completely rejoiced by the current events and just whatever has been happening in the last year. So we have this kind of dubious, strange group consciousness happening here as well. So stay out of trouble. Try to avoid people that are naturally gloomy and brooding, and also people that have no real cause and effect or nothing left. For example, somebody's life is in shambles, you know, they're blaming themselves, they're blaming other people. The best way sometimes is to try not to be like stern with yourself or other people, but make it very clear that you're not putting yourself in harm's way, that you're not putting yourself in danger, that you're not becoming one of those people that are really blown out of proportion as well. Because we do definitely have a lot of proportional or disproportional thinking patterns, and definitely there is a lot of group crazy. There is a lot of people that feel hard done because the next guy next to them feels hard done. So people that feel incredibly defeated, you know, defeated by the governments or defeated by life. So basically what sometimes happens here is that people start to say the same thing at the same time. Everybody's saying whatever everybody else is saying, and maybe this is already happened to you last year. You may become closed-minded, narrow-minded about what your life is about and about what you're doing with your time, and become more like the rest of the people. So it's very easy to become like the rest of us. It's very easy to do exactly what the next guy next to you is doing, and it's also very easy, and it's also sometimes relevant to have a look at what other people are doing. And some of the time people may enjoy that more than what they've got. So sometimes people may lose their own stamina or peace or individuality, and they may risk it for that which other people have become, or the potential that other people have got. So you may be looking at what somebody else has managed in their life and go, oh, hells yes, that's what I want to do. And the best thing that I have for you is basically not to be necessarily bossy with them or with yourself or other people in the group, and try to talk it out. Sometimes it's nice to get secondary opinions. Sometimes it's really nice to see what other people have been up to. It's really good to have a look at the showcase that is happening usually in Aquarius. People are showing up, they're showing their wares, they're telling each other what they've done in the last year or years. Sometimes they share tactics, they share philosophies, they share ingenuity, and we can tell how far we've come and how they have come to be where they are and where everybody's landing. So it's just about knowing each other. It's about knowing what else is out there, and definitely there's a lot of altruism happening, and sometimes people have got so much of something they want somebody else to have it as well. Sometimes people are showing off and they want each other to benefit, and it takes a very, very special societal social guru to be at peace with what they've got and what they've been about and what is coming up for them, while also being kind and generous with other people. So it's just about being generous. Yes, it is about generosity of heart. The opposite sign to Aquarius is Leo, so the earth is going through Leo, and it is definitely about also closing the gap. So sometimes people don't have enough of something and it shows, and that's where we find new ways, new momentums as to how to class ourselves, how to be well to ourselves, how to speak to ourselves and each other, how to make sense of that which is going on in life, and also how to become a little bit more steady on our feet, because this is a fixed sign. This is the last active sign before we go into Pisces. So this is pretty much the end of the year now, as the beginning. I mean, for me, and I think for lots of other people these days, is definitely in March. So we are closing the year. We are just before the sign of Pisces, and the sign of Pisces does have Saturn within it and everything, and also Venus at the moment. It's a very, very climatic and tumultuous time for some people, because they are not finding the ease they thought they would find in the beginning of the year, because they think this is the second month coming, this is like first month, second month, this is the this is the end, actually, not the start. So this is all very confusing also for me, like working with people that have been working with a numerical system for a really long time, and they don't understand why things are going wrong. So basically, the idea is not to go with a mass psychosis and a mass crisis that is happening at the moment, especially as people feel, oh, this has been a terrible start to the year, la-di-da-di-da, it's not the start to the year till March, so relax. Even though some may say it is, it's fine. And Chinese astrology, yes, we're coming up, of course, to the end of January and the beginning of the Chinese astrological sign of Snake, and yeah, that already shows. And some people believe it is in the middle of Feb, but some believe it's at the end of Jan that we start the Chinese zodiac cycle. So yes, of course, definitely, Snake brings in the trickster. Snake brings in the means to an end. Sometimes people just want to get a fast result. And yes, with this Pluto in the sky very close to Sun, it shows, it may show, and definitely people want to get there better, get there faster. For some people, it is about professionalism, and then for some people, it is about tricks of the trade. In certain cases, people will definitely lie and do something outside of the common grounds, outside of their previous vibrational density, and that also is kind of the trick of the time. The best thing to do is to show no respect to that which is outwardly exterior, not to feel interested or obsessed about anything glossy and glowing, not to trust it, and not to believe that this is it. So for example, somebody else's veneer of their life may look really beautiful, but you don't know what's inside, and this is the mistake that a lot of people make. So yes, we are going through the gallery of lives, which is Aquarius. We are looking at amazing results that some people have created for themselves in Dragon. And yes, for real, sometimes it looks really amazing what other people have created in their lifetime. But please be careful, because sometimes we believe it more than ourselves and what we've got going on in our own lives, and sometimes it can also lead to addiction and obsession. And yes, sometimes people resort to taking certain substances during a time like this, and they can also become very, very destabilized by their karmas and their wounds. And this big question is like, why does this happen to me? Why everybody has this sorted out? Why is everybody else well, and I'm still trying to understand what my life is coming to? So the best choice I have for you definitely is to take everything with a pinch of salt. Yes, we are looking at people's results. Yes, we are looking at the gallery of lives. Yes, we are potentially looking at our own souls and the karmic progress that we had since a while. And for real, some people feel very, very disheartened and very triggered by how other people are doing, by what it looks like they've got in their life, by how they seem on the outside. We get really, really triggered and amazed by what the world is sometimes, and we do ask these big questions. When am I going to win? What is going on with me? Am I never going to get what I want? So if you are somebody who's very emotional during this time, and if you are very acidic, emotionally acidic or biologically acidic, chances are you will have a lot of these questions come up. Why am I always a bridesmaid and never the bride? Why am I never the one chosen? Why am I not the one winning? All of these different questions. We don't have to have them coming through so loud, these big whys. And sort of keeping in touch with the fact that this is the new moon, although she is very close to Pluto, she's going to be a spicy one. We need to be very, very kind and wholesome and feel whole, no matter what. And what I've given as advice to my Patreon people is to just feel good about what you've got and how things are for you. And of course, Aquarius is a little shallow. It's an extroverted sign, and it's an externalizing sign. So sometimes, yeah, it's nice to, put on a veneer. It's nice to look good. It's nice to just put that photo in a photo frame. It's nice to give that person a pat on the back. Yes, of course, sometimes people over-embellish what they've actually got going on in their life. Sometimes they want others to look at them differently or a little bit more impressively than they usually do and such. So that's going on. And it's really, really nice to just close the gaps. And what I mean closing the gaps is feelings of inconsistency, feelings of like bad karma, feelings of like being needed where you don't want to be needed, feeling hateful or feeling negative, and also being super altruistic or hyper resourceful, like all of those scattering energies, also because of Pluto being very close to the Sun and Moon during this time, they're going to really block us from the real natural outcomes and the real natural global events. It's really, really nice to just look at things as they are. It's really nice to sit close to your family and friends and loved ones and just to enjoy. If you can imagine, it's kind of like being in the audience, and what you're seeing sometimes is a movie, and sometimes you're not the character that is on stage, and sometimes you may be. So like there's like a feeling of wanting to settle in actually and to enjoy, because Aquarius is an elder sign. It's the last active sign of the cycle of 12 signs before Pisces. It is the one where we really break free as well, sometimes by understanding and by neurologically identifying differently. Sometimes it is a sign of breakthrough. It can help us get real. It can help us understand what the trouble is, and it also can help us think about things in a different way and see life with fresh eyes. But however, with all of this said and done, I definitely don't believe that Aquarius is a great time to completely innovate, to completely involve. So if you don't have anything that you are proud of, I would be highly surprised. I believe that everybody has something to be proud of, even though it may not look very sparkly and very amazing on the outside. I definitely don't suggest looking at other people or trying to come up with the goods if you don't have them naturally. I believe that it is much better to have a look at how life has been so far, and also what the people around you are doing or have done, and just to feel fine and to feel better than you have done before about some things, to feel hopeful, to find the romance in that which is not romantic for you anymore or never has been, or to feel good about something that you've got going on, instead of trying to poke holes in it. You know, the idea basically is to feel blessed. Sometimes it is about feeling selfish, especially with this Pluto in the sky very close to the Sun. So yeah, it is sometimes about being a little bit selfish and a little bit more on the what's for me side. That's absolutely okay for certain people, but we have to somehow result. We are looking for results. It is hard to sometimes look at the results that you've got because you don't feel particularly pleased with them, but sometimes these are just the obvious results. For example, in my garden this year we've tried to plant different things. This is a real example in my garden personally. Okay, so we tried different types of greens, we tried tomatoes, we tried different types of, you know, little things like herbs, and in this climate, because I live in the jungle, they didn't take. But what has taken is several papaya trees. We have several papaya trees, we've got several avocado trees, and a sudden surprise pumpkin. So accidentally some seeds were scattered just over there somewhere, and there came an abundance of pumpkin that we didn't plan. You know, so this happened, for example, in my family. This may also be happening with you. So you have some no-shows sometimes. Things are even aggressively not comfortable or not capable of being. Things are not going on. And some things are incredibly savvy, incredibly well, and you can't help it, but there is a natural abundance. So definitely, I've already coached my Patreon a little bit on that in the recent weeks. There's been a couple of weeks of this already. So like, you know that you have a natural abundance and you didn't really have to do that much. You know, it's like it just came up. Receiving an abundant gift, receiving an abundance of something, having something show up and you didn't plan it, having a person give you something in surplus. For example, somebody passed you on their art supplies, or exactly, it's like in your garden is a surplus of squash or something like that. So these are abundances that are natural, and we have to somehow just get used to it. And the feeling that I'm feeling with this moon is like, deal with it, you know, deal with it. So this is like basically what you've got going on. And the idea basically is not to be confused or over robust about who you are and what you've got happening at the moment. The idea is to bring it all together and to feel safe. It's nice to involve your family and friends and loved ones. It's nice to sit together as a group. If you're really, really, you know, counting on these people in your life and you love them, it's really nice to share. And now this is the time where some people will bring out the fine wine, some people will bring out the stories, Certain people would want to show something or share something and tell the story to somebody else. Some people want to demonstrate something. They want to demonstrate their craft or their art. In certain situations, people would want to cook a lot or talk a lot or dig up something from last few years and show it. So for example, you want to put the drawings that you've done last couple of months on your wall, or you want to do something a little bit externalized. This is very good. It's important to be externalized in Aquarius, because that's where you neutralize this feeling of who am I, what is my identity, what is my worth, what is my power. So if you specifically struggle with your power and worth and your identity and you're self-conscious about yourself, it's a gorgeous time, it's a beautiful time to be online. It's nice to tell people the stories. It's a wonderful time to let other people get to know you, and it's an epic time to be right there in the middle of certain events. It's nice to put your best foot forward, and if you will, tell the stories, show and showcase, have that glass of wine. Have that platter of cheese together, So these are very, very wonderful feelings and stories that sometimes people can share. And it's just about feeling the joy and feeling the body of people around you, understanding who you are and who you're not as well sometimes, and also understanding what it is that gets you there and also what takes you out. So sometimes it is about the introvert or the extrovert. It is about, how well you know yourself, how well you understand yourself and your language, how you know what to do in a situation. Yeah, sometimes it is about global societal savviness. And it's about knowing how to show up and how to dress for an occasion. And some of the time, yes, it is a little bit formal. We are in between dragon and snake. So what does this tell me? Formality, what people see, professionalism, how things look to other people, that may sometimes become one of the best things that you can show. Sometimes you may not be a very good talker, but maybe you're very good at social cues. Maybe you're very good at smiling on cue, on point. Maybe you're very good at making the first impression or the last impression, So this kind of depends on how you are seeing the world, how you're seeing other people, whether you do not also feel spiced or interested in showing up somewhere. So this is also very important to me as a reader to notice. Some of the time we have a certain exotic thing that really makes us go, yeah, wow, I want to participate in that. And also sometimes certain things we don't want to participate in, even if they're best of the best, like, hey, let's go to grandma's house and hang out. It's like, no. I want to go somewhere spicy. I want to go somewhere beautiful. I want to go somewhere where I've never seen people, and for the first time I'll get to see them, So there's like a feeling of wanting a little bit more than you're naturally allowed. So certain people will definitely go for that. And as we are starting snake, there is going to be a little bit of intimidation here, because snake likes things beautiful. Snake likes things precise. Snake likes things to be there that are not actually naturally there. And here we have foolishness. Here we have sexuality, rampant sexuality waking up for some people, as we are very close to Pluto here as well. And definitely people wanting to spend money where they shouldn't be spending it. They want to make friends where they shouldn't be making them. They are doing things that are kind of around the bend. And for real, certain people are going to harvest big. So for example, if you know how to schmooze people, if you know how to use glamour to your advantage, if you know how to use a certain timing of things to your advantage, definitely snake shows who is the real healer here and who is the big deal. So snake can sometimes show off the big cheese, but should you be the big cheese, especially during this time? No. I think that this is about appropriate conscious, condensed, and well done results. I think that a lot of it is not about necessarily money or being incredibly wealthy. I think it's just about effectiveness. I think it is about abundance and family names and family histories. I don't think that everybody really knows that. I think that certain people are really trying to catch somebody's eye. They want to look more adequate and more relevant than they truly are. And certainly there's a lot of us also that are suffering potentially, or that have a struggle if we don't actually really have anything to show. For example, you're going to your home for a family meal, and they're going to ask, so what have you done so far? Like, how are your studies going? Or how are you working things out? And sometimes people go, I'd rather not talk about it. So this is very, very important also to me, to notice that some people don't have anything to show for it. This is really important because we've just gone through the alpha year of dragon, and we're coming into snake, which is mega yin, and I've already talked about it. So what is the worst case scenario? The worst thing is that sometimes people don't actually really want to speak about what is true. They don't want to actually say that which is happening, and there are lots of reasons why. Sometimes it is because it is vulnerable. Sometimes because they don't think that they will be forgiven. And some of the time it's because they simply don't think that they've got what they should have had. So the reason why also sometimes things don't work later on is because we've been hiding things and we don't want anybody to notice. And snake is really big for lying and embellishment, and it's also like a large sign. It's a giant sign for negativity and judgment and curiosity, and also wanting to know something that you'll never know. And it's a little bit mysterious and it's mystical, and it can actually really break us, like make or break. Some people are made in snake. For example, they become incredibly good at something that they do, and they become very well at that which they are. And certain people are actually incredibly disembellished, so they go the opposite way. So this means to me that they will be criticized, they will be criticizing themselves or other people, or they will not know what is going on or what is better, this or that. So definitely there is a question, are you out of your depths in snake? Sometimes partnerships, especially at the moment with Venus being close to Neptune and North Node, are very important for some people. How you show up in society, how your partner is acting with you, or who you are, as you sort of are getting on. For example, if you've been in a certain community of people and it's been a while, it may sort of cross your mind to ask, who am I? Or later in time, how am I going to deliver myself, say, from this community, or deliver myself into that community? So there are questions people ask, like, what is my game? What is my meaning? What is my place in the pecking order? So basically, if you are one of those people that is asking, you'll be the one who is the most vulnerable during the next year and a half. So what we want to do is we want to somehow conceal vulnerability. You don't want to be vulnerable in front of people. That's the thing. It's like you don't want to just like put yourself out there. Definitely think about what you're doing. So during this time, of course, with the new moon in the sky, some people will start new projects. I've already warned my Patreon people about this, and definitely will warn them again. Really, really think about it if you're doing something very new and vulnerable for you, and also ask yourself again and again, is this worth it? Is this worth my time? And yes, there are lots of gimmicks. There are lots of externalized cosmetic things. There's a lot of like perfume and happiness and people imagining things and people dressing up as something they're not. And definitely that is coming true for them as well, because, some people are a master or masters of disguise and some people aren't so much. So yeah, definitely what is relevant. And as I talked about, Capricorn also was a very good time to fix things that are not doing well. So that means it was definitely the time to patch up those old things and try to do the best with what you've already got. And definitely things that were old and falling apart were really obvious in Capricorn, as they usually are. And now in Aquarius, things coming through that are gimmicky. Plastic things, plastic food, plastic conversation, plastic people, things that are shiny may not always have anything to do with you and may not always give you that which you need. So this is what I'm basically trying to also share with you. Be very, very careful of anything that is looking too good to be true. Be very, very connected and think several times, what am I doing? So for example, you are working in pop media. And you've been there for 20 years, and maybe your mother or your father also worked for TV. Okay, this is one thing. Like say you've had a long time there, this is one thing. But if you are new at this, if you are new in a certain territory, some things that may be very interesting for you is definitely things that are glossy, shiny, out of the ordinary, things that feel like they're made from some kind of ethereal material, also things that are made from plastic, inorganic fibers. Anything that is pop can sometimes be very demanding and damaging, and I definitely don't think that people should be so shallow during this time, but unfortunately they definitely are. And it's interesting because the shallow cosmetic things, or things that look good only on the outside, is that sometimes it catches a person's eye, especially if they don't feel very good about themselves, if they don't feel very organized within their life. So definitely have a look. Are you getting caught up in the web of plastic people, humiliation potentially, eventually, any fake things, especially when it comes to, for example, unnatural treatments, like fillers and Botox? Are you hanging out with somebody who's not maybe who they say they there are you treating yourself to something that you may regret later, like fake food and coloring and lots of milk and sugar and things that look like they're not real. So like everything artificial, anything and everything artificial, if it catches your eye, and if you think, wow, like this is what I want, please consider again, because I think that a lot of people are going to be tested next few years with that which is and that which isn't, you know. So this is the thing, basically trying to relax and calm down and count your blessings. And it's really, really also very good to count your chickens and to be realistic about it. And before you make any new purchases, before you make any new ideas, before you decide to go to the other side of the world, for example, before you decide to create a relationship with somebody, before you want to do something which may be not on purpose or not of purpose later on in the coming years and may prove itself to be difficult, take a few steps back and look at your life as a painting. So if you like, take several steps back from your life and just have a look as to what your life is doing. Have a look at the wins, have a look at the cause and effect. Also write down on a piece of paper if you want all the things you have conquered in the last year. Dragon was a hard time for some people. It was definitely a time to shine, and it would be really, really nice to bring those highlights out and to see what you have been about last few years and if any of this actually came true. So maybe this is about your children, your family, your money. Maybe this is about food, maybe this is about clothes, this may be about your partner, maybe it's about your self-exploration, maybe it's about vulnerability, maybe it's about vulnerability of other people, maybe there are other choices, other things that have happened last few years. So it would be really, really nice to have a look and really get locked down on the real wins, the real gains and the real prizes during the last year or maybe the last few years, so you can underline what you've done and where you're actually going. So sometimes people want something that is way outside of who they are and their perception of reality, and I understand that as well. So there's definitely a struggle. So sometimes people don't actually really trust what they've already done, and they're going into some other sort of philosophical cycle of things, and they're trying to do something that is not necessarily correct. So we just want to make sure that we don't have any mutations at snake. Mutation is what snake sometimes gives, and sometimes for good reason, but sometimes for a really bad reason. So we want to make sure that we have these things together. They are philosophical things, answers and questions, definitely. Things to do with your family name. It is good to have the courage to answer yourself here. You don't have to have another person like a reader or a friend tell you. You probably already know where you don't have something and where you do have something. This is the last active sign of the zodiac. And yes, we should really by now come to terms. You know, so for example, coming to terms with a disease, coming to terms also with a prize, you know, coming to terms with, for example, having a stable home, coming to terms with, for example, having no love in your life, you know, even though it could be with somebody, or coming to terms with a certain internal aggression. So these are comings to terms. And what the best way of processing this would be is not to let regrets override your soul. Try to find a way of understanding everything. So you don't want to put yourself in the corner like a child is being naughty for not doing something that you may have set out to do, or not doing things the way that your parents have installed. And you don't want to necessarily want that which other people are having. So everybody's different, and of course everybody's trying to be in a certain system. Aquarius rules societal systems or just systems. And what we basically want to be is we want to be free to explore and enjoy ourselves. But there are people that have a lot of protocols, and they've been raised in certain bodies of people, they've been raised in certain family trees. So definitely there's something like that in me as well. Yeah, everybody's got a little bit of that. So things are conditional, and conditionality of their reality may be very, very uneasy for them. So basically what I've done here is take things with a pinch of salt, because there are parts of me that also don't know why I've done certain things in my life. But without certain aspects of me, I wouldn't be me. So this is just about gathering all the aspects of yourself and understanding that everything is all right, and sitting with it and feeling fine, not feeling afraid, not feeling monstrous. You know, if there is some part of you that you don't understand, or you do not want to speak of, or you don't want anyone to know about. And it's just about having a safety and having respect for every single part of your character. I already talked a little bit about that in Capricorn. Understanding and enjoying and respecting all the people involved in your life. and also all the different recognitions that are coming through right now, and then trying to destabilize anything that is happening out there, happening in your life or in the societal circles around you or in your family or, you know, close karmas to you that has any chaos inside of that. So that means chaotic beings, obsession, taking certain substances, smoking, drinking, anything like that. Also things that you know are a way of running away. Anything that makes you feel excited, not for the right reasons, and also people involving in your story right now that are nothing to do with your snake brings in a thief. So this is really important. If we have stories that we are living that are not our stories, and we're condoning behavior of others that we know is wasteful or disrespectful of our time. So if somebody's using your resources for nothing, if you're spending money on something or somebody that is not giving you anything back, not giving you anything realistic. Also, if you have a partner that has not maybe even for a while supplied you with anything or helped you in your life, and only has been taking from you. Also, if you have kids, naughty kids that are very mean and very violent and trying to control the space, you know, so all those things we need to put together. And basically what this moon can give you is a sense of harmony and peace, even though there is Mercury, even though there is Pluto. The big mistake that I've also made in my past is to make a big deal out of this time. And what I mean a big deal is like you starting things that you can't finish. Okay, this is the second to last sign. This is the last active sign. Starting things you can't finish. Doing a job kind of badly because you thought that you'd get away with it. There are scraps sometimes in Aquarius. You know, not everything is real, not everything is righteous, and not everybody really wants to know that, which we sometimes giving out during Aquarius. You know, these are offcuts. And what I mean is, because this is the elder sign, sometimes what we can do very, very eloquently is give advice. Sometimes we can comment on other people during this time. Yes, sometimes we can be the person, you know, the pretty person in the group. Sometimes we can have certain kingly or queenly, like royal charisma during this time. Sometimes we can be above a situation. So you could be like, for example, talking to somebody and you are possessing them with an idea that will help them get rid of a situation or transcend a certain circumstance. So it's really good for the advisor, the teacher, or the best friend. But it is no good to start anything, especially if you are out of your depth. So whatever other astrologers are saying about, yeah, you can start your project in a new moon because it's a new moon, very careful. It is cunning. Some of the time people can research what they've done before. They can pull out whatever they were, like even years or decades ago, and use some of that knowledge or some of that database to put into their current life. So for example, they're looking at their cupboards from, I don't know, 5 years ago, and they can put some of these dresses back into their current now. You know, they can recycle old materials. They can do something that they've done before but better, but only if you really have to. So that's the thing that I'm also trying to respect and, you know, connect to. Don't do it unless you really have to. Sometimes you'll be surprised at what is dusting away. And also in terms of the new and the bright, definitely. There's a lot of seduction these days from innovation and that which is new and bright. But don't do it. You know, so for example, you're buying this expensive new treatment, but you don't actually know what this is doing long term. Okay, so for example, skin products, you know, this is the latest craze, this is a Korean cosmetic. You know that this could actually set you back eventually, inevitably. You know, some of the time, creams, ointments, things that are crazy fun, amazing. For example, brand new cars, brand new shoes, brand new plastic, especially plastic things, or like social, societal things. They can be only part of a little craze, but they can be costly. They can make you nervous, you know. So anything that people say that is like, yeah, wow, try this new thing, or I just heard about this, take it with a pinch of salt. Not everything lasts, you know. And then you want to maybe circulate around people or be with somebody that actually knows how to sustainably get a good result, a lasting result. And yes, it's been happening since about Capricorn. There are certain people that are very charismatic and very organic, and they have an actual result. So sometimes it's good to see an elder. Like, for example, a person has been in an industry for 10 years, they can give you some very good advice. Or, for example, a person has done something with their life that you may also want to do, you may also want to repeat. So there is this really big healing that is happening as well in snake especially, or just in general on the planet these days. There's a lot of healing, there's a lot of kind of like also righteousness that is happening, and I don't want to like necessarily trigger people here, but like not everything that we've come to be we're incredibly proud of. Not everybody in our families is shining. And some of the time what this basically does is we can be in a mix of people, we can give a mix of advice, and it could be a mixed bag. So for example, somebody incredibly toxic for you can also be a best friend, and they can only help you with a certain thing, but they can't actually necessarily serve you for the rest of your life. And the hidden element of snake is, I want this to work for the rest of my life, or I want this to give me a good, solid, long-term result, which is not something that a lot of people may give to themselves after all. So basically what I'm trying to say as well is be very careful, because we have some parties, okay, we have some happy people, we have some truths, and we definitely have some storytellers, but we want to make it very clear that we're not taking any toxicity, or we're not taking any dangerous aspects into our bodies, into our lives, along with the good. So for example, perfect, a beautiful, powerful cream for your skin could also make it very vulnerable in the sun. Just a word of advice. For example, like say you are using vitamin creams, but then you're going into the sun, and even if you have your sunblock on, this is not guaranteed that it is not going to ruin the dermis. So this is the thing, like one of those things, this is one of those things. Brand new, fancy, crazy, happy, excited doesn't necessarily mean it is going to be good for you. So that's basically what I'm going to end this particular reading on. Be very careful. And also, if you smell a rat, if you are noticing something is not legit, and if you are noticing that somebody is doing something overly embellishing during this time, for example, somebody's acting out of character or out of their nature, and also if you're noticing other people doing that which you wouldn't have suspected that they would do, definitely think about this. What is going on? And also what is going on there for you if something catches your eye which may not be for you. So for example, it could be property of other people. It could be also toxic or potentially dangerous. It could be that somebody or something that feels or that means a lot to you may actually not necessarily be in your way or in your path. So very careful with paths, mixing with different people, trying to do something very wild and outrageous demographically, and definitely belong. So fixed sign, belong to a group, belong to yourself, belong to your meetings, belong to your mother or father, belong to a community in your country, belong to your real people, real friends, real family. Even if they look silly to you now, they may be the only ones there later. So thank you very much. Enjoy, and I'll see you next time. Bye.